Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Taste with Me. I'm Joseph from Bean to Bar World, and today we're going to have a cheese and chocolate pairing. So what I have today is a Quebec semi-soft cheese called Fou du Roy. So I'll be pairing that with 4 chocolates. The first one is McGuire 70% Colombia origin, Solstice 70% Ecuador origin, Cacaosuyo 70% Peru origin, and a milk chocolate here, 56% Bolivia from Solstice. So a lot of people think that pairing is a science, that there's specific pairings that have to go together, and that's not actually the case. Pairing foods and flavors is very, very specific to your culture, the food you grew up with, even your own household, and the foods that your family would make for you. So there's many ways of doing pairings. You can have one cheese for one chocolate, but today I want to choose just one cheese and kind of go through what I think it pairs best with, how it influences the flavors of the chocolate. And I'll give you some insight into how I'm thinking about it as I'm going through it, which will help you how to think about when you want to have a chocolate and cheese pairing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to familiarize myself with the chocolate first. Then I'm going to have some of the Fou du Roy, then go back to the chocolate and kind of go back and forth. And I'm going to use some hot water as my palate cleanser before and between each of the pairings. So let's get started. So let's try this 70% McGuire Colombia origin chocolate. Their suggested flavor notes are sweet, smooth tasting chocolate with notes of macadamia nut and fig. I would definitely say that it has an essence of nuttiness. I wouldn't say so much of the fruity for me. A lot of people get more baked, cooked sugar flavors like that. So let's give that a taste. Beautiful chocolate. A really good beginner bar, because the flavors are very vibrant, but also in line with what a lot of people expect in their chocolate. So with the baked notes and the bread and the nutty, very, very delicious. So now we're going to try some of the Fou du Roy with this. So in my opinion, the Fou du Roy, which has some nutty notes for a cheese, sort of earthy, a bit hay, things like that. I feel like this pairing doesn't quite work because it overpowers the wonderful yet delicate flavors of the McGuire. So they don't go poorly together, but I feel like the flavor of the Fou du Roy really overshadows the incredible flavors of the McGuire. So now I'm going to cleanse my palate, and we're going to go ahead and try the Solstice Ecuador. Hot water is a very good palate cleanser for chocolate because chocolate is a heavy fat, and the hot water helps lift the fat off your mouth, wash all those flavors away. There is no palate cleanser that's going to get rid of all the flavors, but this is a good one. Okay, so Solstice suggests nutty brown sugar and cinnamon for their 70% Ecuador bar. Remember to breathe through your nose as you move it around in your mouth. Don't be afraid to chew. Very, very smooth texture. Very buttery. Definitely the sweet spice, a little bit of nuttiness there. Almost slightly herbaceous, not quite. So now let's try that with the Fou du Roy. So this, I feel, goes better together with the Fou du Roy. I noticed that a lot of 70% chocolates tend to taste a lot sweeter compared to a lot of cheeses. When you pair the cheeses and the chocolate, it really makes the chocolates appear sweeter. Now this one here, I would say makes the Solstice bar taste more like honey. Remember I mentioned it had something a bit herbaceous, right? You know, when people get into the realm of sort of nutty, kind of woodsy, that kind of, for some people, it can even go towards sort of grassy, herbs, and even floral. There's some botanical fragrant essence there, and people's minds tend to go into that realm. So for me, because it was a bit herbaceous, the cheese making it a lot sweeter, all of a sudden, I get more honey from this. So I feel like it's a very nice pairing, if you don't mind that the chocolate tastes a little bit sweeter. And I mean, honey is a beautiful flavor, so I really like this so far. Now we're going to try with the Cacaosuyo Lacuna bar, which has Peru origin cacao. They're a bit more vague with the flavor suggestions. They say floral and fruity. A lot of people who've tried this have suggested rum, because they get a bit of that sweet fruitiness and a bit of woodsy flavor, which I can see sort of representing rum. Some people say raisin. So let's give this a try. I'm going to cleanse my palate again. Okay, so let's try the Cacaosuyo. Such a unique bar. I really love the Lacuna bar. Such a distinct flavor. Today for me it's very woody, very fragrant, jasmine even, I would say, today. Now you might find it funny that I say today, but you know, a lot of people think that these bars have locked in flavors, and as a sommelier you have to constantly get the same flavors, and it doesn't work like that at all. There's a lot more complexity to it. The arrangement of the bars that I have, the foods that I had today, the other chocolates I ate this morning, which I ate quite a few, all influence the rest of your day and what you taste. So today I'm not getting the raisin, which I do many times. I'm getting very strong jasmine and sort of woodsy, beautiful, beautiful flavor. Now let's compare that with the Fou du Roy. Oh my goodness, completely different. Wow. This is what's so fun about pairing, is that the Fou du Roy has a beautiful distinct flavor. The Cacaosuyo has a beautiful distinct flavor. You start putting those flavors together in your mouth and you get a whole new arrangement of flavors from the chocolate, which is just fascinating. You know, there's a lot we need to learn about flavor perception, which happens in our brains. You might think that what's happening is happening in my mouth or in my nose. No, it's happening in my brain. So this pairing really reduced that floral, woodsy flavor that I had. I think because for me, the Fou du Roy definitely goes more earthy, woodsy than the chocolate. And so putting these two together basically masks those flavors in the chocolate because it's just so much stronger here, which means that what comes through now is the fruity notes. I really got the dried fruit that I usually get in the Cacaosuyo bar by pairing it together. So it really transformed that flavor, which I thought was really fun. So now I'm going to cleanse my palate again. And now I'm going to try the Fou du Roy with the Solstice dark milk chocolate, 56% Bolivia origin. So let's go and try the chocolate first. Softer texture as a milk chocolate has. They do add a bit of vanilla in there, so definitely very fragrant, right? Very soft, beautiful flavor. The Bolivia being their dark Bolivia bar is one of my favorites as well. Okay, let's try it with the cheese. Very fun, very fun. I feel like the milkiness and the sweetness in this really plays well with the cheese. I thought maybe it would really overpower the chocolate, but I think because of that little bit of extra sugar, the vanilla really allows the milk chocolate to really have a strong presence. And so they combat. They're completely different in flavor spectrum, but I felt they work well together. They marry well together. You kind of get, it didn't really change this very much. It just kept coming through. You get the cheese, you get the Bolivia milk, you get the cheese, you get the Bolivia milk. So it was fun. It was really nice, actually. That surprised me. Out of these four, I think the McGuire didn't quite work with the Fou du Roy, just because the flavors are so wonderful, but a bit too delicate for this, intense cheese in a way. It's not too intense, it's not a blue cheese, but it did overpower it. And I feel like this, you really want to enjoy the flavors that are in there. The Solstice Ecuador, that was nice to bring out the honey. It's a toss-up between these two. It really is. I would have to say, I don't know. I guess it depends if I'm in a milk chocolate mood or a dark chocolate mood, because they both went really well together. I feel for beginners, I think the Fou du Roy with the Bolivia milk would work well, because like I said, it maintained its intensity. The flavor of the chocolate maintains its intensity. So as a beginner, it's kind of difficult to discern the flavors when they're kind of being masked and played with. Whereas this pairing was much better for beginners. If you're a bit more advanced, I would say the Cacaosuyo in this and really have fun with that. So there you go. That gives you some ideas of how to pair your chocolates and cheese, how to think about when you're pairing it, right? Keep in mind that the cheese will alter the flavors of the chocolate. It will mute some flavors and it will enhance other flavors, right? Keep in mind that flavor is a perception built in the brain. So when I say I'm getting strong honey notes here, doesn't mean that it has specific aroma compounds to produce that aroma flavor, because I didn't quite find that in the chocolate itself. It's what's happening in your brain. It's the play on flavors that's coming in from the tastings on your tongue and the aromas in your nose and memories and all that. Again, there's no wrong pairing. Have fun with it. If you love cheese and you love chocolate and you're not really sure what's going to work, get a line of your chocolate bars, pick one cheese, and just play around with them. If you have too many variables, it can be a bit overwhelming for some people. So if you're really trying to pick out what goes best with which chocolate, and let's say you want to have an event at your home and you want to pair a few, take some time, maybe buy 3 cheeses and do one cheese with the 4 bars, see what you think, and then do another cheese with the 4 bars at another time to really get the most out of it. Because the point of this is to really appreciate the aromas that are there. This is not food to just scarf down. You want to really appreciate and take time with all the incredible flavors and think about it and contemplate it and just have fun with it, just like you do when you go on trips and you take in what's around you, or you go to an art gallery and you take in what's around you. In the moment that you're tasting, take in what's in front of you. So I hope you learned a lot from this. If you have any questions, feel free to visit my website, beantobarworld.com, and feel free to contact me. And I hope to taste with you again soon. Download the free Bean to Bar app to connect with incredible chocolate makers from around the world. Also be sure to visit beantobarworld.com, your portal for all things fine chocolate, virtual tastings, free learning resources, research, and much more. Subscribe to the newsletter to stay in touch and donate to the free app and free resources here. Contact me for any chocolate-related questions you may have.